this afternoon I'm working on the quadrant lever. Now, you'll recognise the lever sitting like that, and as you sit on the seat over here, you put the lever down, it lowers the tractor implement at the back there. When you bring it up, it raises it. So it has an eccentric or an offset cam down through here, and you can see it's pretty rusty shitty looking, but you can see it's got a shinier section there, and where that sits in the whole picture is that this fork here that works your hydraulic control valve back and forth here, well, that eccentric rubbing on this fella here, that I'll just come out if I can. No, that's about as far as I can go out. That fella rubbing on here, that determines whether the valve is raised or lowered, or pushed in or out. So on ours, over time, this little cork here gets worn out, and they get to a stage where either they won't stay up, won't stay to where you want them, or they get that tight that you can't do anything with them. So today I'm going to pull ours apart. Now, I've got a new cork here, and that cork goes in here, and that's an S. It's a Sparex one we've chosen here. Can you see that? An S60635. I think you can see that. I can anyway. And that's the important thing, as long as one of us does. And this fellow here, this is the new mount for the lever mount, I suppose, for want of a better word for it. I don't know what Sparex call it. They call it a lift control plate. So if I can, where are we? There, a lift control plate. So part number S66515. Now, if I don't need to use this, I'm not going to. I'm just going to use what I need. And so we'll put that in there out of the way for the moment. And there's a couple of tricks to not having to use that if things go your way. So on the end of the lever here, you can see a thread, and I've undone that already, and that can, well, what was on there was a flat washer. Now, the flat washer pushes against the alloy on the lever mount there. Then there was a spring washer that's quite a wild looking spring. So it went washer, spring, castellated nut on the end there, and it had a split pin through it. I had a real job getting that split pin out. So anyway, we'll take that out of the way for the moment. Now, on this lever here, you can, if it comes out, you can give it a bit of a tap out through the centre there, but the trouble you're going to find is that because you have a keyway here for it to drive on, that key will jam on the housing there, so you won't be able to push this shaft right out. So another thing you may notice is where the hydraulic lever here is held on to the mount, you've got two bolts there that a 7/16 spanner would fit, and you have a bolt and a nut up the top here. Now, I've been doing this a long time, and sometimes you try and undo those bolts and bang, the whole thing breaks out. That's why I've got a spare one here. But the thing you can do, I'm just trying to keep my hands a little bit tidy here, is you can find your favourite shifting spanner and undo the guide here. So because down here you have a metal bolt going into an alloy housing, that can go badly. So all I like to do to get it out of the way is bring it around here like this. So that gives us a chance to work on the rest of the lever. Now I've got the lever out. Now you can see I've bumped that back a bit, and you can see the amount that went back. Now I would say that the keyway would be holding this now. So I'll just find a small hammer. I've got an old big Bertha here, but big berth is a bit big for this job. So I'll get a little tappy, bloody girly looking one. Yeah, here we go. That one there. Hey, just a pissy little one. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do now is, it's a little bit promising that it's gone back that far, so I'm just going to get my fingers in behind there, and I'm actually tapping on the back of the steel. I'm actually tapping on the back of this nut here, or you can tap on the lever there, it just doesn't matter. Try and tap on steel, which is what I try and do. I might just put the bolt back in there. It doesn't really want to line up there now, look at that. And that might just keep that into... There we go. No, that's not going to want to line up. I might just take it right out of the way. That'll fix it, eh? There we go. I'll just take it off out of the way. That's in pretty good nick, really. Not too bad at all. Okay, so this lever here, we'd like to pull this aluminium piece off that way and off the keyway. So I'll just see if I can bump it off a little bit. I've got an old chisel here, and look, that's just to put a little bit of force opposite. Oh, look at that. Straight in, no kissing. Yep. Let me bring this up a bit. See if I can. Okay, lovely. Now you can see the surface there. That's not galled at all. There's a few little marks there, but there's nothing really to worry about. Now this old cork here, actually that's a piece of rubber someone's put on one time. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If it worked, it worked. So now this shaft, you'll see now why you can't, if I give that a twist, you can see with that key there why I wouldn't be able to knock that shaft right through. So if we give him a little bit of a tap there, bring a set of side cutters down the side of that key. There you go, there's the key. And I might just make sure we're not dragging rust down into the hole there somewhere. Bit of possum pea. You'll also see too that on where the lever sits up like this, this would be up as it sat in the tractor. You can see there's a little hole there, so a bit of oil splashing around the cavity there should come down and lubricate this. But and look, mostly you don't often see stuck ones, so if I just give that a little bit of a, you want to go gently, you don't want to bugger the thread on the end of this. And there's the rod. So I'm going to, there's a little, you can see a little wear mark there where it's been sitting down slightly. You can just see a little mark just in there. So I'm going to put this on the wire brush, smooth it all up a little bit, make it look a little bit better. I'm going to take this over to the parts washer, clean this up. I may even wire brush that. That's a little bit rough through there. I'll try and smooth it out a little bit. There's a little bit of dirt in the holes here, so I'll go and give it all a bath, give my hands a wash, and we'll come back in a little while. Okay, I've been over to the wire brush and I've tidied up this housing here. Now, this housing where it's had spot welds, I should say, there, it's a tiny bit undulating, and I actually cleaned all the housings with a little 90-degree buff and a small row lock fitting. So I cleaned this part here, tidied it up, give us a good surface. I just give this one here a very slight polish, and this surface here where the gasket goes, I've tidied that up too. Now we've got to glue the gasket on there later, but for the moment we're okay. Now the main lever here, you can't actually go wrong with that. We'll put a bit of LXR2 we're using at the moment, and look, it's a pretty colour. And look, it does a good job. This will be hanging around when the old tractor's dead. There'll still be a bit of grease here. So we'll slide that fella in. And you can see that's just lovely and free at the moment. That's all we need. I'll just wipe the excess off. Now wipe the excess grease off here. No real need for it. And we can get our Sparex, our S60635. Pop him there. So that's quite thick. We've got plenty of meat there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto the back of here. So it's a little bit tight on the shaft when you put it on. Now that helps seal around the shaft and keep any moisture and junk out, but it's just bare like contact cement. There we go, that's probably way too much, Lance, but anyway. So we'll just let that sit for a minute or two, and as soon as that starts going a bit tacky, I'll just wipe off some of the excess up around through here. And wipe off the shaft. And probably a little bit soon yet, but anyway, bugger it, we're doing a video. So we'll bring that down. Push that down as hard as we can until it comes out. Now we'll get the little woodruff key. We'll just tap that in gently. Gotta go rubbish here everywhere, but that's how I seem to like to work. Okay, so that's on there okay. And now, I'm not going to put any grease on here. I am going to just put a little bit of LXR on the shaft, or up inside really. And hopefully that's just to stop it binding on or seizing on over time. Whoops, so I can see the keyway there. I can bring that on. Okay, so that's fairly firm. Now I'm going to put the washer on, put this on, the spring washer, and the castellated nut. I'm going to do this up and just let it sit for a little while and let that bare contact cement, or that, I don't think it's Bear brand, it's Sikaflex actually, but it's a contact cement, and I want to put a little load here just to hold that cork in place so it can adhere to the back of the But he's squeaking like me getting out of bed of a morning. So, yes, at the moment, the whole lot's turning as one. So we'll just tidy up any crap. And at the moment, the contact cement will be acting as a lubricant, so we're just not going to touch that for a little while now. We're just going to leave it sit there, and yeah, we'll come back once it's bonded. Well, there you go. That's all we really have to do there. Now, I've just backed this off and put it there. My glue didn't stick really well. My young fella come and I went and started talking to him. But you can see, I might just tighten him up a little bit more. And until you can see that's going nicely now. I did put a little bit of grease on this side too that I'm not sure I showed before, so that's okay. So now I'll see if I can get this lever back on. That was a bit sprung before and it didn't really want to go. I'll just put a bit of Alex R on the threads. Doesn't do any good, it won't be doing any harm. So if I try and hold this out of there and get a start. Then try and get this one to start here. I just got to hold my mouth the right way. A little bit of load on there. It was there all the time, I was just dicking about. I don't know if you can hear the motorbikes, the neighbours over the back. The young fellas have got the motorbikes out, rolling around the paddock this afternoon. I can remember being young, loving doing that. Okay, so we'll just nip this up. Nip this one up with my trusty shifting spanner. If you're all rich and shit, you could probably have a 1/2 inch spanner for that, but you know how we roll. Okay, so that's that lever. Now, originally this had a gasket here that had elongated holes and it was glued to there, but we're going to have a fiddle with one of those Fergie positioner kits with this, so that's all ready now. That can go into there and you can see, well, you can't really see, I'm just making that up. You can see how it goes. So there you go. That's feels okay there. The lever's rubbing a bit at the moment, but this can probably tighten up, but I don't actually want to tighten this up either until I get it on the tractor and I can get a bit of a feel for what's happening. So there you go. That'll do for this video. That's just how to work on your lever there, and once we get our fork in the cylinder and the cylinder in, yeah, this fella can sit up there rubbing away till its bloody cows come home. That's all it does. Works on that pad there. Okay, there you go. We'll move on to something else, eh?